Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Judiciary and Administration Committee. I will call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, July 2nd at 6 p.m. And welcome everyone and our guests and visitors. So anyway, the first item on the agenda is 190471, resolution adopting sustainability goals transitioning to carbon neutrality and 100% renewable energy by 2050. So what we have here is a few speakers that registered to speak. And we have a whole list of people that just are in favor of the legislation. So motion for a public hearing by Councilmember Olson and seconded by Councilmember Podesky. And I failed to say that Councilmember Chris Kalo is excused for the evening. So thank you. So the first speaker to come up is Kathy Allen, 1815 Cameron Avenue. Oh, all those in favor of the public hearing say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Oh, sorry, got carried again. All right.
Hello, my name is Kathy Allen. I'm a La Crosse resident and a board member with the Coulee Region Sierra Club. Some of our members worked with members of the Sustainable La Crosse Commission and City Planner Lewis Coleman to draft this resolution based on similar resolutions that have passed in other cities in Wisconsin, including Eau Claire. The Sierra Club has been working with local volunteers across the country to accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to clean, renewable energy, and to date, 130 cities have committed to reach 100% renewable energy use community-wide by or before 2050. We very much appreciate that the City of La Crosse has already set a goal to obtain 25% of its energy from renewable sources by 2025. But given the dire warnings we've received from scientists over the past year about looming environmental crises, we can't stop there. Transitioning to renewable energy will not only address environmental issues such as climate change, it will improve human health by cutting air and water pollution from fossil fuel use. And it will benefit our state economy by creating jobs and keeping the money we currently spend on coal and natural gas from other states much closer to home. I hope that you will support this resolution so that La Crosse can contribute to a healthier planet, healthier people, and a healthy economy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All right. The next one to speak is George Nygaard, 1819 Madison Street, La Crosse. Pardon me? Oh, okay. I saw it was checked in a little circle. So, okay. Thank you. All right. And that is all I had for people registered to speak. Was there anyone else that did not sign up that wishes to speak? No? Okay. Need a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Councilmember Olson and seconded by Councilmember Weaver. So all those in favor to close the public hearing say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so what we need is a motion to approve. Okay. The motion was to approve by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Olson. And is that with the amendment? Go ahead, Council President Gall.
There has been an amendment that was made to the original motion that is on Legistar. I do have a copy of that here if anybody needs an update, but it made some changes that were basically worked on by some of the council members and finalized, and it's on Legistar, and I would move the amendment.
Okay. Okay, there was a motion to amend the resolution and by Council President Gall, seconded by Council Member Olson, to approve the amendment, and it is on Legistar if you haven't seen it. So all those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried on the main motion. Move as amended. Okay, by Council President Gall, seconded by Council Member Olson. Okay, go ahead, Council Member Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep it brief. Just looking this over, I guess I have a little bit of concern with the numbers because and this relates back to some improvements I've been making on my parents' properties, upgrading the LED and trying to figure out how to present that to my tenants. I guess my concern is how the numbers would be calculated if we wouldn't get into a mathematical death spiral at some point, because technology reduces the amount of energy consumed in one area of the city's energy consumption, where the unupgraded technology is going to be actually represent a larger portion of our energy consumption of the whole as a result. So I could see potentially where 1 year we have a large upgrade or a change implementation of technology that we should, and we're accomplish something really great for the city. But when you try to calculate out the numbers in terms of percentage, how much we're relying on diesel versus unleaded versus electricity, that it doesn't amount to a straight up percentage decline year to year in terms of the dependency. So I guess I'm going to approve it because I don't want this to get really messy, but I think as this goes forward to staff, when they realize what I'm talking about, and you might not understand what I'm talking about right now, but if you kind of see what I'm getting at in terms of a straight percentage decline might not be practicable depending on what you implement. Just because a lot of this, like we did LEDs because it's going to cut our energy consumption in our buildings 20% in the light sockets. It's a no-brainer, but then that represents a lower energy consumption to calculate your total percentage. So, anyways, I'm going to stop talking, but I just want to say if there needs to be some amended detail coming back to clarify that and create realistic, achievable goals, and not make it look like we're failing to meet these very straight, simple percentages, I would support that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also would like to read into the record the following that wish to register in favor of the legislation, and that is Patrick Wilson, 2222 Heschler Drive. It looks like L.W. Huffman, W5357 Hidden Spring Road, David Bang, B-A-N-G-E, 1911 Cass Street, Kathy Van Mar, 2815 Highland Street, Megan Hickenbotham. Looks like 211 16th Street North, La Crosse. It would be Carter Frey Miller, 1108th Street, La Crosse. Josie Tallbest, 326 North 14th Street. Jeanette Dean, 103 North Deer Avenue, number 5. Looks like Houston, possibly. Pardon me? Oh, Caledonia. Okay, that wasn't on there. I'll write it on there, though. Thank you. Rebecca Becker, 211 16th Street North. And Frederick Reagan, 322 13th Street North. And then Aaron Robert Meyer, 930 La Crosse Street, La Crosse. So those are in favor of the legislation. So we have a motion on the floor to approve. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone. And that will go to the full council next week on the 11th. Thank you. So 190593, an ordinance to create section 4-20 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse to regulate online ordering and curbside pickup of alcohol beverages. I have no one registered to speak on it, so motions? Motion to approve by Councilmember Olson, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. Go ahead, Councilmember Newmeister. Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Councilmember Newmeister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering if we could get Assistant Police Chief Abraham to give us his thoughts on the amendment and any other thing he'd like to add.
I'm sure he'd be happy to come up here. That'd be great. Okay. Okay. Assistant Chief. Assistant Chief Abraham, please.
I know how to do that. I looked it over. The amendments look good. It looks like a pretty good piece of legislation as far as we're concerned. A lot of the rules in there or the sections in there, straightforward, should be easy for the vendors to follow. Really don't have any issues with it.
Do you have questions? Go ahead.
Just, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, Walmart and the police, that you won't be taking pictures of passengers and stuff?
The police department won't be taking pictures of passengers.
Neither will Walmart.
The ordinance does not require that.
Right, okay.
Right.
And I just wanted to clarify that because that's where the confusion was with some of the people in council and Walmart.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
For
thanks,
everything
Rob.
I've read, that's not a
Okay,
requirement.
thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions? I need to make a correction on that. The second on that was Council President Gall, so I need to make sure that is on the record, if you could. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Or no? Go ahead, Council President Gall.
I don't have any questions for you, Rob. There was a bit of confusion. I'm glad we did what we did last month because it did give us the opportunity to clarify some of what was there. For the record, none of the language that was put forward last month was changed. We had got the ability to speak with some people from the PD and with the clerk's office to clarify. Unfortunately, when we got into the meat of the discussion last month, it really kind of got into a lot of different areas that had no connection with this whatsoever. But once they're out there, it created the confusion, and I'm glad we referred it. With that said, all of the concerns that I personally had with the legislation were taken care of, so I have no concerns beyond that. It is definitely a strict piece of legislation, but it gives us a uniform way to go forward should anybody want to engage in this type of business, and I think that was the bottom line that we were searching for. So I would applaud everybody that put this together. I know it was some work, and everybody was a little apprehensive when it got referred last month, but I think it was a good reason we did that, and I'm glad that we did, and I'm happy to support that at this point. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? No? Thank you very much. So let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. 190754, resolution authorizing pursuit of an easement through Rivercrest Village on property owned by Juniper Partners, LLC, to establish a new route for the Mississippi River Trail and Regional Bicycle Route 1. So I don't have anybody to speak on that. So motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Council Member Weaver. Discussion? Nope. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 190790, resolution approving the 2019-2021 State of Wisconsin Hazardous Materials Contract with the City of La Crosse. Motion by Council Member Podesky, seconded by Council Member Weaver. Discussion? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 190819, application of Thompson Animal Medical Center for a conditional use permit allowing a veterinary clinic and pet boarding facility in local business district at 4532 and 4540 Mormon Cooley Road. I have one person registered in favor of the legislation, Gary Weigel of W3894 Sunrise Place, and I believe this would be approved with the city planning report from yesterday. So anyway, all right, so Councilmember Olson? I moved to, yes. To approve it? Okay, that's what I needed to hear. Okay, and seconded by Councilmember Newmeister. So, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. All right. Okay. 190858, an ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse, transferring certain property from the public and semi-public district, single-family district, heavy industrial district, and commercial district to the public and semi-public district, allowing combining of lots at 1005 Palace Street, which is the Badger Hickey Park. Motion to approve by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Podesky. Any questions? No? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. 190869, application of the Odd Fellows Temple, LLC for conditional use permit at 121 4th Street South, which is the third floor event venue, allowing an application for a combination Class B and liquor license. Now I have to check here. I think I've got, let's see here. One person, Dale Berg, 119, 121 4th Street South, in favor of the legislation, but only here to answer questions. Motion by Councilmember Podesky to approve, subject to compliance. Seconded by Councilmember Weaver. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. 190874, an ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse, transferring certain property from the single-family district to the resident district, allowing duplex at 730, 732 15th Street South. And let me just double check here. We have David Mindell, 1523 Winnebago Street, in favor, to register in opposition of the legislation. But you're not here to speak, are you? You want to speak? Okay. Then we need to have motion by Councilmember Olson for a public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm here to express my objection to the proposed rezoning from the single-family district to the residence district for 730 to 732 15th Street South. My wife and I purchased our home at 1523 Winnebago Street in the summer of 2017, a block from the rezoning in question. When purchasing our home, we had and still have the intention of establishing our permanent residence in which we would raise our family. In fact, we are specifically drawn to this neighborhood because of the city's actions to revitalize properties and preserve beautiful and often historic single-family homes. As such, we and other neighbors have been working hard to revitalize our neighborhood by restoring our own houses, and building a sense of community, and we are proud of the collective results. Evidence of this revitalization has drawn other families to our local community and a reinforcement of what it is to be a good neighborhood. In the past 2 years of homeownership, our family specifically has made every financially feasible effort to improve our home to ensure our long-term goal is met. This has included replacing our entire plumbing system from inside the house to the sewer main in the street, updating the entire electrical to replace hazardous knob and tube wiring, insulating the entire house with dense pack insulation, and our most recent investment of a privacy fence. In addition to paying for contract work, we have and continue to put countless hours of work into our house and create a home that is safe and meets our long-term expectations, as well as adding to the value of our house over time and adding to the value of homes in our neighborhood. Our property is already bordered by 3 rental properties, all of which are minimally kept up and very apparent to be rental units. We understood this fact when purchasing our home and felt that the rest of the neighborhood was focused on single-family homes. Furthermore, we found reassurance in the city's efforts to limit rental expansion, as the city's dwellings are already oversaturated with such properties, as well as the city's measures taken to create, preserve, and reinvest in single-family homes and their neighborhoods. However, to receive the letter in the mail regarding the properties in question has been alarming, as it runs counter to the reemergence of the single-family home neighborhood. Not only that, it places the perception that private developers and rental companies have priority over families trying to establish and maintain a single-family home neighborhood, as there is no purpose other than making money for the rezoning of this property. This additionally sets a precedent for the neighborhood that private companies or individuals can purchase homes and simply have them rezoned for the purpose of making profit. How are new families and prospective homeowners supposed to compete when properties come to market? As a homeowner, my wife and I have made significant financial investment while also working to build sweat equity in our home. We are already bordered by eyesore rental properties, and I fear that rezoning will only lead to more. Additionally, if accurate, upon learning that the Commission will only address our concerns if 20% of those that receive the notice in the mail submit a formal objection, is deeply troubling. It translates to private investors having greater power over the direction of a neighborhood than the neighborhood's homeowners, even if only one neighbor objects. Rather than put the obligation on single-family homeowners to object, the onus should be conversely on the individual or company proposing the rezoning to gather support in its favor, requiring a more active and less passive approach for said individual or company. This would result in greater weight given to the collective voice of current single-family homeowners and fewer barriers for the public to be heard. Some rhetorical questions are, what is the advantage to the city to rezone this property? What is the disadvantage to the city to not rezone this property? What is the advantage to the neighborhood to rezone this property? If the answer is nothing to all three of these questions, and the disadvantages to the neighborhood is the only thing of substance, then why approve the rezoning when it's the neighborhood that is directly affected and the neighbors are the stakeholders, not the developer or potential rental owner? In closing, I strongly encourage all those involved in evaluating this rezoning proposal to please consider the single-family homeowners in our neighborhood. I am certainly not anti-rental, but I am pro single-family home neighborhoods, particularly given the current dominance of rental properties in the city. Rezoning from a single-family district to a residence district will only exacerbate the lack of single-family homes and further erode a sense of community and neighborhood in our area, with long-term repercussions yet to be realized. Please do not amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances to rezone this property in question. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Badesky. We have a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How close do you live to this house?
It's on the corner of 15th and Winnebago, and we are down the block. We're on the block between 16th and 15th.
Okay. Have you talked to a few other neighbors who just couldn't make it tonight, or
I
weren't
have.
aware?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that people aren't here. Yeah.
Okay. Then actually, I think the person who bought the house is in the audience. Sure.
Go ahead, Councilmember Newmeister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are you familiar that this has historically been a duplex and it's had two addresses since at least into the 60s?
I've heard that, yep.
Okay. And so I guess my question is, and not to beat a dead horse here, but it has been one. We're just trying to clear up. We're obviously we do care about the neighborhood and we want to do residential, but this has gone through the planning process and everything else. So that is why I will vote for it, and just because I don't think it's fair to eliminate it at this process, because it's been that way. It's got two kitchens, it's got two electrical in both places, plumbing, and it's been broken up for years. Otherwise, historically, I would not favor it, but that's one reason I will, though. I appreciate it, though. Thank you.
Sure. Yep. Thank you.
Go ahead, Council.
And I just wanted to ditto what Councilmember Newmeister said. I think I fight as hard for neighborhoods as anybody on council, and we all have our wars we fight. But in this one, I would vote with you. However, the fact that it's been a duplex all these years, and I appreciate the money you've put into your house, and hopefully this won't affect on what you're going to do moving forward with your house. But the fact that it's been a duplex, it's kind of hard when he bought it, expecting it to remain a duplex, to tell him no. So I apologize for my vote, but I will be voting in favor of this. So.
And so has single family home or single families have been occupying the house though in question for since this? Do we know how long they were? If this has been a duplex since the 60s, I know the family that moved was a single family home.
Okay. Any other questions? So let's have Mr. William Bridle, the owner. Would you wish to speak on that and make some comments and give us a little history? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. 526 Oak Avenue South, Onalaska.
Oops, sorry. Yes, I guess I purchased this property.
Could you speak into the microphone a little bit closer?
I'm sorry.
Just raise it up, that'd be fine. Thank you.
I purchased this property from my neighbor. I currently own the house next door to this property, and their names were Elena and Mike Byrne. They lived there for about 3 years to 4 years. Yes, they occupied it as a single family, but they lived in the downstairs unit, and then their children would leave at night and walk around the building to the other exit and then go upstairs. They were never able to put any money into the place other than a outside fence, a real nice privacy fence that surrounds the backyard and everything. So makes the property look nice. But they ultimately moved back to Madison, so I purchased the house from them because they were not able to sell it. So the house has always been a duplex. I think it was originally built as a duplex. I've submitted pictures as it back in the 60s from Mr. Bennett's grandmother that lived there. Mr. Bennett was the owner who passed away, and the Byrnes bought it on an estate sale. According to all the pictures, I've got some other ones here, but it's been a duplex. It was a brick building originally, and then for some reason they stuccoed over it. You know, it still looks nice, but that's the only changes that have been done to the building since the pictures in 1967.
How long
So-
have you owned it?
I have owned it a little over a month.
Okay.
I have not done anything to it but other than the yard work and keeping it look nice. So. And I've had my property next door to it for approximately 10 years. Never had a complaint from the city, nothing. Yard's always mowed. Neighborhood actually enjoyed my tenant. She moved on, bought a house of her own. Sent me a very nice letter explaining to me how, thanking me actually, that
Your microphone's on.
okay, thank you. Her name was Joy Fielding, and she's a vice president at Wells Fargo, I believe, but she rented from me for approximately 10 years and sent me a letter after she moved on and bought a house of her own, thanking me for my patience as a landlord, and thanks to me, she said, was her means of succeeding with her career and everything because of my flexibility in allowing her and her family as a divorcee to live there. So they kept up, never a complaint in the neighborhood. Nobody really even knows it's a rental, I guess. So.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Bridle, would you be willing to offer tours of the inside of the property? I mean, obviously before it's occupied, but like in its current condition, would you be willing to let other property owners within that buffer come inside to see exactly what you're facing in terms of if you were to be required to transform this back into a single-family home? The economic and feasibility barrier to doing that, would you be willing to show that firsthand to the other neighbors?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, it's an open door for anybody that wants to come in and take a peek at it. Nothing's been done to it since I've purchased it. I've just left it, like I said, other than the lawn care. So.
Okay. And Mr. Gilman, our planning director, was there any changes with the City Planning Commission at all?
No changes, just a reminder to the owner that if they make any improvements to the structure or enlarging the structure or anything like that, it has to go through the city's design review process.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, thank you very much. And I'm
Thank you.
not sure if David Mendel would like to rebut that at all or not, so. And we will only allow 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. No, nothing really. I mean, I wonder, and I don't know that anybody here has the answer, how it actually came under the current zoning that it's in, and there must have been a reason behind that, I wonder. To me, it seems like a good opportunity in an up-and-coming neighborhood where houses, including the one that sold across the street from us, that sold for $250,000 last year, that houses are desirable and you could easily find a homeowner to purchase this house and turn it into a single-family home. I don't see that as an obstacle at all. But that said, all I can do is offer, my 2 cents here. So I appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Olson.
Yeah, just really quick. I mean, I understand that your desire and where you want the neighborhood to head. I totally respect that. Would you be willing to step inside the house and look and see, just because I've been inside of it and my family's been in real estate for 48 years, and, you know, we've seen other people's duplexing of property. Sometimes it's done sloppy, sometimes it's done right. And in my best judgment, I believe that this was either originally built as a duplex in 1895, or when it was duplexed, if it was duplexed in the 50s or the 60s, somebody did it right and did it really well. And in my judgment, I don't see a feasible path to transforming. If I did, I'd be on your side tonight. I would, because I believe in single-family future and undoing some of the horrible duplex jobs in this town. I don't see a feasible path for this one. Would you be willing to step inside the house and take a look at it before making a judgment of whether or not it's convertible?
Yeah, I can. For my own sake, I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
It would be a good thing, I think.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm sure other neighbors actually would be interested as well. So.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
very good. Okay, thank you. Need a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Councilmember Weaver, seconded by Councilmember Olson. To close the public hearing, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Go ahead. Councilmember.
Jason, I have a quick question. On what was the overriding fact for planning to approve this?
Thank you, Councilmember Podesky. There were a number of different things. One was that the recognition that this is a legal nonconforming use, that is, the structure has historically been used as a duplex, and the merely leaving it in single-family zoning doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to automatically convert back to a single-family structure, because the owner has a vested right to continue the duplex use, even though the family may, one of the things about discontinuance of a legal nonconforming use, it doesn't matter if there are blood relatives living in two sections of the house, because the attorneys usually will tell you you have to look at a whole variety of factors to determine whether or not a nonconforming use has officially ceased. So if it had separate utilities, a common wall that was impassable inside, separate addresses, all of those factors, and even if the children who may have been occupying the upstairs were using the facilities upstairs, like a separate bathroom or laundry or whatever it is. So it's a combination of things that we look at to determine whether or not a non-conforming use ceases. So the fact that it was designed as a duplex, it's been continued to be used as two units. There hasn't been a building permit issued to remove the common wall or consolidate the entrances, things like that. The other thing we looked at is just that since the 2002 comprehensive plan, which is 17 years old, a lot has changed in the city. We have a very, very low vacancy rate in housing. We need housing units in the city, and duplexes commonly exist with single-family homes all over the city. In fact, in this neighborhood alone, I think we counted between 12 and 15 multifamily units, even though all the zoning is single-family within a block and a half of the property. So we don't recognize it as an incompatible land use. It's actually a very compatible land use. And of course, we can't speculate on property management, because there are single-family homes that are rented that aren't managed very well, but there's single-family homes and there's duplexes that are rented and managed very well. So that didn't come into play. So that was really the basis of our decision to recommend approval. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Neumeister.
And did you say that you did actually look at the neighborhood association's plan and you thought that fit well with it, or at least fit into what they're looking for?
This is the 2019 Wagon-Hogan neighborhood plan. They do have some goals in here that indicate that they would prefer not to see single-family homes converted to multifamily or to what they call low-quality rentals, which is what the verbiage that they're using, but nothing about the amortization or changes of existing multifamily.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, so go ahead. We did that already. So we need a, pardon me? Motion to approve by Councilmember Meister. Need a second? Councilmember Olson made the second on it. So any other discussion? All those in favor?
City planner had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. James,
I'm
go
sorry to
ahead.
interrupt. I just wanted to remind everybody too that even though the R2 zoning allows for the duplex to be legal, it also allows single-family homes. So if somebody should choose to convert it back to a single-family home, they could do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And that was approved, the City Planning Commission report as well. So, thank you. 190875, application of Lighthouse Hospitality LLC for a conditional use permit at 127 4th Street South, first floor restaurant, allowing an application for a combination Class B beer and liquor license. Okay. Motion by Councilmember Weaver. Seconded by Council President Gall. I have two registered in favor of the legislation. Bree Roland, 1518 Ferry Street, La Crosse, and Peter Beard, 916 15th Street, La Crosse, registered in favor of the legislation. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 190911, 2018 La Crosse Police Department Annual Report. Motion by Councilmember Olson, seconded by Councilmember Podeski to receive and file the annual report, which was very, very well done. Appreciate all the work that went into it. I don't know if you wanted to say anything. No? Okay. All right. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, and that was to receive and file. 190917, various license applications pursuant to Chapter 4, 6, 10 of the La Crosse Municipal Code for the remainder of the license period 2019-2020. Subject motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Council Member Weaver, subject to compliance, and I have Philip Wanke, N 7546, County Road 2M, Mindoro, Wisconsin 54644, in favor of the legislation, and Lizzie Haywood, 315 Fifth Avenue South, People's Food Co-op, as in favor of the legislation. So, all those in favor of the legislation, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I thank you very much. Anybody else want to comment? I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilmember Weaver, seconded by Councilmember Podeski. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.